How do you know when you're in love? When you find someone that makes you think, yeah, I could let this person fucking destroy me in every way and still be okay with it. The moment I knew I was in love with my husband. Well, some backstory first. I am in the military. We were only dating at the time. I went home on rap after my tech training. I walked into his room one day and a book on his desk caught my eye. I'm an avid reader, so naturally, I picked it up and the title read I Never Told Anyone. It's a book of writings by survivors of childhood sexual abuse. My heart felt like it exploded and I got real teary-eyed when he walked in and saw me holding it. All he said was, I just wanted to be able to understand what you went through, the trauma, without reopening that wound. It was a decision I made then and continue to make each and every day. Edit for format. I've always loved this quote from Neil Gaiman in The Kindly Ones. Have you ever been in love? Horrible, isn't it? It makes you so vulnerable. It opens your chest and it opens up your heart, and it means that someone can get inside you and mess you up. You build up all these defenses. You build up this whole armor. For years. So nothing can hurt you. Then one stupid person, no different from any other stupid person, wanders into your stupid life. You give them a piece of you. They don't ask for it. They do something dumb one day like kiss you, or smile at you, and then your life isn't your own anymore. Love takes hostages. It gets inside you. It eats you out and leaves you crying in the darkness. So a simple phrase like maybe we should just be friends, or how very perceptive, turns into a glass splinter working its way into your heart. It hurts. Not just in the imagination. Not just in the mind. It's a soul hurt. A body hurt. A real gets inside you and rips you apart pain. Nothing should be able to do that. Especially not love. I hate love. My favorite love quote is from The Perilous Guard by Mary Pope. I never thought of it like that. I always thought of you as a part of me, like my own eyes or my own hands. You don't go around thinking I love my eyes. I love my hands. Do you? But think what it would be like to live without your eyes or your hands. To be mad. Or to be blind. I can't talk about it. It's how I feel. I was the other man for a while. A girl I worked with was flirting pretty heavily with me and we went out. Things were going pretty well until she told me she had a boyfriend. I didn't wanna be that guy, so I said we couldn't see each other. She goes on to explain how they are gonna break up and he's not good to her and all this. Temptation gave in and we kept dating for a while until one day she tells me about how she had a bad night. Apparently she has this condition where it is really hard for her to poop and it causes her a lot of pain. The boyfriend helped her by pushing on her stomach while she pooped and it made her feel better somehow. I was like, whoa, that boy loves you. I wouldn't do that shit. I mean, like, I'd ask from the other side of the door if you needed anything from the pharmacy, but I'd never push on your stomach while you pooped. All of a sudden it got real to me that he loved her and I was an ass for being the other man. TLDR. You know you are in love when you will help them poop. Edit. Since this blew up, I'll answer some questions to the flow of PMs I've been getting. We were all around 18 at the time and have all aged and matured since. I was under the impression they had already broken up but hadn't made it official. That doesn't condone my actions but explains them a bit. The furthest it got was kissing. I ended up reaching out to the guy who I assumed would beat me up, but he didn't. He later said this whole thing was a wake-up call that he could very well lose her and needed to treat her better. They ended up breaking up for a time and getting back together both and gave the relationship a better try from both sides. They are now married with kids and we are still in touch and laugh about it a bit. And finally, I don't believe this makes me a shitty person. I think that people who are 18 years old are immature and that person does not reflect who I am now. A 35-year-old married To a guy BTW. Man that has never cheated. Shit. That is love. My boyfriend cleaned up my puke from the carpet, unclothed me, bathed me, put on my pajamas, and tucked me into bed one night when I was shit-faced. I apparently kept asking him why we weren't married yet, and he said that it didn't scare him. That was 2 years into the relationship. It's been 6 now and we would clean up each other's puke any day. I read that as we clean up each other's puke every day and was both impressed and horrified. I thought I was in love a lot. Growing up, I'd feel in love with people after talking to them for a day. I fell in love with everybody. I loved every girl I met and half the boys. But as I got older, and got hurt, and hurt people, I realized that love isn't that tingly feeling, or acting like an idiot, or wanting to be around someone all the time. Love is acquired trust. It is affection built out of familiarity. Love is really knowing someone, and wanting a life that has them in it. Not because of what they can do, but because of what they are. This sounds like my relationship with my cousin. We've known each other since birth and she's the one who's had my back since. It's that subtle trust that you can open up to them and know they'll listen regardless of how much time has passed. Regardless of whether or not you've broken up, not seen each other in 2 years, or if you ended on bad terms. I've only loved 2 of my exes, both of which I can always have a good, open conversation with because we still have that very intimate foundation of trust. I recently found that I loved my girlfriend, among other reasons, because even when I'm LaFit, which is my getaway and happy place, I still think about her. One day I was LaFit and had to stop halfway through and refocus because I realized I love this woman. Whatever we do, we both do it together and it makes the experience more fun. In past relationships that didn't happen, and I had to hold back. Edit. I can't spell, but fuck it. A girl at work asked a bunch of us guys a question like this once. I think the exact question was, when did you know you were going to marry your wife? My answer was, when I realized that my wife is the first woman I've dated that I actually missed when I wasn't with them. That was when I knew I wanted to be with her forever. And then, after about a year of that feeling not changing or going away, I asked her to marry me. Another guy I work with said he saw his wife destroy the fattest loaded burger, down her Texas cheese fries, and then gulp down her beer before ordering another. That was his clue. I guess love comes to each of us differently. He saw his wife destroy the fattest loaded burger, down her Texas cheese fries, and then gulp down her beer before ordering another. Hot. Another guy I work with said he saw his wife destroy the fattest loaded burger, down her Texas cheese fries, and then gulp down her beer before ordering another. That was his clue. I guess love comes to each of us differently. Sigh, that's the dream. But everyone on Reddit complains about us fat girls. We can't have our cake and eat it too. When I realized that my wife is the first woman I've dated that I actually missed when I wasn't with them. Thank you for saying this. You've actually really helped me to realization. I'm just out of a long-term relationship, and what you've just said has helped console me that I've made the right choice. I didn't miss her when she was gone. When I knew she'd be visiting in a few days, long distance, I was eager to see her. I anticipated her arrival and was excited to spend time with her. But that's not actually the same as missing them when they aren't there, is it? I used to think it was. I certainly believed I missed her, and told her that I missed her. But I'm now wondering if that's actually true. I was perfectly comfortable being apart from her. There wasn't an ache or a longing. To be fair though, there are different degrees of it. In a healthy relationship, you shouldn't need to be with the person all the time. Missing them but being able to function is the way it needs to go. I love my current GF. I miss her when she's gone. Sure. But at the same time, I go about my day and function normally with just an anticipation of the next time we get to hang out and enjoy each other's company, even if it is just both of us studying working. If someone is miserable to the point of non-functioning when their so isn't around, that shows dependence and can lead to other unhealthy tendencies as well. For me it was a quiet inner peace. A feeling that life would be life with her and something far more insignificant without. Just my 2 cents after 9 years. I asked my dad this when I was dating my first girlfriend. She turned out to be a bitch who jerked me around for months on end. But the advice stayed relevant. You know you are in love when you can no longer imagine living your life without this person. And the idea of spending the rest of tea with them is inviting, not terrifying. My husband proposed to me after realizing that being with me was more important to him than anything else. He had a conversation with a friend who was concerned about his partner taking a job across the country, and my husband realized that in that situation he wouldn't even have to think about it. If I moved, he'd move with me. He'd quit his job in an instant to be with me, and he looked at the friend and said, "I'm going to marry my girlfriend." Probably not what our friend needed to hear at the time, but it worked out well for us. This is how I feel. Your dad is a smart man. A lot of these seem very in the moment and a feeling of that, but love is a nature of compatibility just as much as how you feel in the moment. It should be something that involves long-term thinking and certainty. There is more to it than just how you feel in that moment. I wish more people thought that way. My so is from divorced parents, and while I think it would have been much worse for them to stay together, I wish divorce wasn't such a common occurrence. I feel like if more people looked down the road at long-term compatibility instead of just being in love, we'd have a lot more long-term, happier married couples. People tend to get duped by the whole happily ever after, soulmate thing. There aren't many Disney movies about couples discussing their values or life goals, or going pre-marriage counseling. It's sad how many people just think that love conquers all. When you start treating the other person like your second self, their needs and wants are just as, if not more, important than your own. I always do that in the beginning of a relationship. I know that I've become comfortable with a person when I start considering my own needs and wants as well. Ugh, so true. I don't ever worry about getting into car accidents really, but when we're driving around I have this strange urge to make sure I'm being more than necessary careful. If I'm having a great time at a party, I'll make sure to let him know I want to leave whenever he starts looking confused mopey, even though he'd never ask us to leave himself because he's adorable like that. We're both ex-fatties who watch our weight like hawks. If there's only one left, I'll drink the 300-calorie ginger beer so he can drink the diet one. If you know what I'm like with calorie counting, that's like a huge sacrifice. Okay Dad, I'll let him shower before the warm water runs out because he hates cold showers. I'll let him take the fluffier towel, too. But then he makes me walk on the sidewalk side of the road when we're walking so I'm safer, and gives me the unbroken cookie, and gives me foot massages when I get period cramps, and showers me in cuddles and chocolate. So we're even. I love him. Reading this thread was a mistake. Please excuse me while I go cry in the corner. I know I'm starting to fall in love when it's not just about the person being attractive or making me happy or anything like that, but rather I couldn't stand the thought to see her afraid or in pain, like her pain becomes mine, if that makes sense. When all the new wears off, You don't have butterflies every time they call or text, or you know you're going to see them. You're not getting all giddy about firsts in your relationship. You're no longer both on your best behavior. You can see their faults and let them see yours. You've survived a few disagreements. You're not boning every time you catch some alone time. The sex isn't mind-blowing every single time. And after all that, they're still your favorite person. They still think the sun shines out your ass. You still do things for each other, for the simple joy of making them happy. The absence of the rose-colored glasses of new lust hasn't been replaced with resentment. It has evolved into comfort, stability, and security with that person. Edit. I've been gilded. Thanks. I'd say after 7 years with my so it's like that. They're your favorite person thing to be around. She's what I always go back to when I need to talk. She'll be angry, be excited. She's the first person I call text if anything happens. Her well-being is of interest to me and I'm invested in them. Although not everything is perfect in any relationship, just as long as you can come back to the person and know things are better there than anywhere else is a real comfort. Short-term love is great, but long-term love has me excited for the future because I get to share it with someone I love. When Juno's dad says that line, "You still think the sun shines out their ass," always pulls my heartstrings. I don't know, but I'll tell you about when I took my girlfriend out to eat for her birthday. It was a fondue place and I felt super out of my element. She loved every second of it. I hated the food. She loved it. I hated the drinks. She loved it. I hated the atmosphere. She loved it. But I loved every second of the evening because she did. I got such great joy from her experiencing her time that I had a great time too. I truly love this woman, and me being happy because she was happy showed me. If you think you are, you are. I believe there are different kinds of love and love goes through different stages. That first stage, where you can't stop thinking about the person and it takes away your appetite and makes you feel tingly and a little aroused when that memory of that one passionate kiss you shared recently, and the world looks beautiful simply because that person is in it, and you feel like you could survive on the streets with nothing as long as that person was by your side. I think that's the first stage of love. For me, I couldn't get to the next stages of love without going through that stage. After that stage is when love turns from something beautiful and simple to something you have to work at, something you have to compromise for. But that work brings you so much pleasure because you know you're working on building something together. A lot of people don't think that first infatuation stage is real love. I don't know why. I look back on the people I was infatuated with and I can still recognize that I was in love. There's some kind of stigma over falling in love too quickly or being flippant with the word because it loses meaning or something. But I disagree. Love is the one thing that you can never run out of. It's a natural, never-ending resource. Like, when you have a child, your ability to love grows beyond what you thought possible. Like that end scene in The Grinch. And when you have a second child, you worry that you don't have enough room to love the second child as much as the first. But then your heart grows again and you're overflowing with love. And then you realize that the love you have for your children is different than the love you have for your partner. And that's different than the love you have for your parents. And it's different than the love you have for avocados or cookies and cream ice cream. Love is the one resource the world can never run out of. But it's the one resource that we're the most stingy with. Go ahead and be in love. Last point. I don't think everyone is capable of love. It's like a muscle that atrophies if you don't exercise it. So go ahead and fall in love. When you start to ask questions like how do you know when you're in love? Dead giveaway. I thought if you're asking questions on the internet that means you need to dump them immediately. I think when you start to feel like you are in love you need to dump them immediately. So, yeah, same thing. No. It's when you start to feel like you are in love that you need to take a dump immediately. When a person can make your day by simply existing. How? When you're with them. Time seems to stop. When you realize no one has ever made you feel happier, safer, or more complete. When you do gross shit in front of them and they do gross shit in front of you and you don't even recoil that much. Because it's them. And you're like, okay you but whatever. A lot of these answers describe infatuation. Love, you just kind of know. You're yourself. You don't use one of those fakey boyfriend-girlfriend voices. When you're completely vulnerable, yet comfortable. I've been married 10 years this coming December. I know how I show love and how my wife shows me love. Forgiveness, respect, compromise. Love is holding her hair when she pukes. Not going to bed angry. Talking and working through troubles and arguments no matter how difficult the topic. That is key to waking up happy. Not storming off in the middle of an argument. Accepting you're wrong. Undying respect. No matter what. You may be super mad at the other person for something entirely their fault. Never lose respect. Forgiveness. Compromise. Doing things the other person enjoys because they enjoy it. And doing it with a smile on your face. Taking risks together. Accepting there are just some things the other person won't do. Compromise. Forgiveness. Respect. Love is not chemical imbalances or physiological changes in your body. Love is the feeling and joy you get when doing things for the other person. This is so true. When I met my love I was completely at peace. I didn't get butterflies. I didn't stumble over my words. I was finally able to just flow. Just be. It was such a bizarre experience cause I was always so used to getting caught up in these whirlwind romances, but this was nothing like I'd ever known. I felt such a deep feeling of contentment when I was around him and I just knew we were going to be together forever after our first conversation. It's so weird but people were totally right. I didn't have to ask questions about how I felt for the first time ever. I just knew. I didn't really get butterflies when I met and started spending time with the man who would become my husband. At first that concerned me because I had always connected butterflies with love. But then I realized that I always enjoyed spending time with him. He never made me wonder about how he felt about me. I felt secure with him from the beginning. We're best friends. I trust him implicitly. He's my partner in everything. And I love him. People always describe love as either infatuation with the other person, or dedication to the other person. But I like how you mix the two. It's not the feeling or the actions. It's both. Edit. Some words. Would you ever give the person up, let the person down, run around and desert the person, make the person cry, say goodbye to the person, tell a lie and hurt the person? If not, then you're probably no stranger to love. Give a person up. Alright guys, we're about to get rickrolled. Proceeds to read the whole thing. At this point it's enjoyable in a nostalgic kind of way. I can't wait for my kids to get rickrolled and just not understand what's going on. When after few minutes you were thinking about something else you suddenly remember about your so and you get that feeling of a bottle of champagne popping in your chest and throat. As someone who loves to eat, this quote I heard from a food podcast sums it up. Marry the one who gives you the same feeling you get when food arrives at a restaurant. Someone responded me with this. Love is when you still want them around right after you've nutted the Dalai Lama. When you look them in the eyes and think, this is someone I could really see our kids spending every other weekend with. I was in a class in college called Human Sexuality. At one point we were talking about love versus lust versus obsession. The professor asks what the real difference between love and lust is. A bunch of different people have opinions, and we have a pretty good discussion for about 15-20 minutes. It's starting to die down a bit, but before the professor can move on, this one kid in the back, who had not participated so far in the class, just says, "You sleep in the wet spot." The professor asks him for more details. After sex, if you're in love you sleep in the wet spot. The class pretty much unanimously agreed his was the best answer. She was my first thought in the morning and my last at night. She filled my dreams and motivated my actions. It was terrifying and exhilarating. I was not in control of my life because I'd do anything for her, but I didn't care because I got to spend it with her. I realized that all one morning as I woke and she was again the only thought in my mind. It had probably been that way for a while before I realized, but I cannot tell you how long because I was lost in her. Please tell me that you are still together. It's all written in the past tense. I imagine this being said about the new Alfa Romeo Quattrostagine. When you get up and you instantly have a good feeling, this sign never fails. But what if you already have Up on Blu-ray? Do I have to get it again? Can I just rent it? When you find someone who'll laugh every time you make that joke. Dad. Trouble walking, speaking and understanding's also paralysis or numbness of the face, arms and legs. Oh shit no, that's signs of a stroke. I always get them mixed up. Love is something you decide to do. It is not a feeling. It is deciding to love even when you don't feel like it. If it's based on a feeling, you're sunk. You don't fall into love like falling into a hole. It's more like climbing, not falling. Every time my wife asks why I would love somebody like her, I tell her because I decided to. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. It consumes you. It's like a mental illness except it feels good, except when it feels bad. Morty, I hate to break it to you, but what people call love is just a chemical reaction that compels animals to breed. It hits hard, Morty, then it slowly fades, leaving you stranded in a failing marriage. I did it. Your parents are gonna do it. Break the cycle. Morty, rise above. Focus on science. Man, I found real love for the first time in my life last year. I'll try to explain it. I knew instantly that there was something special between us. Literally the first time we went out, it was like we had been together for 10 years. All I wanted to do was be around this person. It didn't matter what else I was doing. I simply couldn't get enough. You feel like if you could just stay with them forever, that life would be pretty great. I'm a pretty argumentative person. But in love I don't fight, because I don't care if I win. I just want things to be exactly how they are. So I don't yell and I don't get angry. I might get hurt, but never angry. It was very obvious I was in love because the honeymoon phase of the relationship never wore off. A year later and it's just as amazing if not more so than when we first started. I have no doubt that it will stay that way forever. She's just my other half. I don't want to ever date again. This is the one and I couldn't be happier. She might not be perfect but she's perfect for me. Lol at 1 year in. Things will always be this way. It's awesome that it's still awesome but just know that it's going to be hard as fuck and a lot of work that won't feel at all like it does now if you want it to last. Edit. And just to be clear, That's not to say it won't continue to be totally amazing, albeit in different ways. But the honeymoon phase is a phase no matter what. It can last 2 weeks or 2 years, but things will always change in a long-term relationship. You need to be prepared to embrace that change and work with it if you want to keep making each other happy, which you most certainly can. Not trying to ruin anyone's time, but having no doubts that things will stay this way forever could lead you to abandon something that could be great just because it becomes something other than what it started as. Just don't think that the feelings you have now represent the only love you guys can share, because there's an enormous complex of other shit you'll both experience together that is equally if not more important than what you currently have as far as lasting happiness goes. Yeah, the honeymoon phase with my soul lasted an honest to God 3 years. Super infatuated, very affectionate all the time. Lots of sex. People always telling us what a great couple we were, and I'm so grateful for that. But it does eventually change. Almost 7 years now and we're still great, but different than those first few years. So yeah, it will probably wear off eventually. The trick is still being happy together at that point. When you'll do anything to compromise, you get happy at their existence. You'll drop everything just to cuddle with them. Being in love is breathlessness. It is excitement. It is the promulgation of promises of eternal passion. But that is not love. That is just being in love, which any fool can do. Love itself is what is left over when being in love has burned away, and this is both an art and a fortunate accident. Those that truly love have roots that grow towards each other underground, and when all the pretty blossoms have fallen from their branches, they find that they are one tree and not two. Love is a temporary madness. It erupts like volcanoes and then subsides. And when it subsides, you have to make a decision. You have to work out whether your roots have so entwined together that it is inconceivable that you should ever part, because that is what love is. I didn't write it, but I like this one. Fuck all the pop song puppy love bullshit. Your heart skipping a beat isn't love. It's cardiac arrhythmia. It's not about shortness of breath, either, or how turned on you get, or whether you tell yourself you'd throw yourself in front of a bus for her or whatever. You can convince yourself of a lot about how you feel and what you would do in exchange for regular oral sex. Love is when she drives you insane sometimes, and I don't mean merely aggravating or annoying. I mean flat out fucking insane. And in a way nobody else can do it in a million years. She'll drive you to the point where you'd gouge out your own eyeball with a melon baller or smack your scrotum a half dozen times with a ball-peen hammer if it means you can be done with this conversation. She'll make you want to chew your own arm off to get out of talking about this. And I don't care how many fucking times you've had this conversation. Each time, you know you'll have it again. Oh, I thought you turned the heat on. I did. Oh, well, I'm still cold. Are you sure you did it right? Yes. I'm pretty sure I know how to turn on a thermostat. Oh, 'cause you know you have to flip the switch to heat and honey, I know how to turn on a thermostat. I went to college for it and everything. Oh, well, I don't feel any heat blowing in here. I know. I think you broke the thermostat again. Oh, I didn't break it. Yes, you did. You put that halogen lamp right next to it again. Oh, that doesn't do anything. Yes, it does. Oh, I thought you fixed it. I did fix it, and you broke it again. Oh, are you sure you fixed it right? Yes. God damn it. I fixed it right. Oh, how do you know you fixed it? 'Cause it worked when I fixed it. Oh, well, it's not working now. 'Cause you broke it again. Oh, how'd I break it? You put the goddamn fucking lamp next to it. Oh, I don't see why a lamp would break a thermostat. Okay, I'm going to explain this one more time, slowly. Thermostats have a coil inside them that expands and contracts based on the temperature. This is how they know when it is hotter than the setting of the AC, so it can cool the room off, or colder than the setting of the heating, so it can heat the room up. Halogen lamps generate heat. Halogen lamps generate a lot of heat. That's why you burn your fingers when you touch the bulbs after they've been on for a while. So when you put a halogen lamp next to a thermostat, it causes the coil to keep expanding and expanding and expanding past the point it's intended to expand. This makes the thermostat think it's really hot all the time, and it makes the coil less sensitive in the future, and it'll eventually break the coil, so I'll have to replace the thermostat. Oh, that doesn't sound right. You trust me. It's right. Oh, how do you know? Because I took 6th grade fucking physics. Okay. Oh, well, I don't think they should make thermostats that can be broken by something little like a lamp. Fine. Don't think that. Write a letter to the manufacturers. Write a letter to universities and tell them to build a better thermostat. I don't fucking care. But that's how they make them. That's why I keep moving the lamp. That's why I keep telling you not to put it back to the right of the bookcase. That's why I've had to fix the thermostat 4 fucking times now. Stop putting the lamp right next to the thermostat. Oh, but on the other side of the bookcase, the front of the hallway is dark, and I can't see inside my gift closet. Well, you can turn on the hall light to go through your gift closet, or you can sit here and be cold. Your choice, honey. I don't think you fixed the thermostat right. God motherfucking damn it. I'm going to fix that motherfucking thermostat tomorrow. And I swear to motherfucking Christ, if you put the lamp near the thermostat again, I will smash it to a million fucking pieces and shove them down your goddamn throat. Motherfuck me. Jesus. And if the 7th time you have that conversation, knowing full well there will be an 8th time, you'd still rather have that conversation again than imagine a world she's not in, you're in love. Especially if you do fix that thermostat again the next day, and not just so she'll shut up about it, but because you really don't want her to be cold anymore. For me, I'd say no one else could top her in every way. I dated about 15 to 20 different girls over the course of 15 years or so, and all of them either cheated on me, or left me for stupid reasons. Also, when you really need someone when times are tough, even if it's stupid or your own fault, most people naturally turn to family. My family was shit, so the next best thing is your so. And when they make fun of you or make excuses, then fuck them. All of my exes were like this. After so long with each one, I learned they didn't truly give a shit about me or my problems I had. I was just a fling for them. My wife, though, that woman has always had my back, through thick and thin. Even if the outcome was 110% guaranteed unfavorable. Even if it meant she got dragged down too. I've learned so much about true love. From being married, I knew I was truly in love with her after about 3 years of being together, when I started comparing her to everyone else I had ever encountered in my life. Friends, family, exes, and on every occasion she topped them all by miles and miles. At some point it dawned on me that she was the one. She was everything I had always yearned deeply for. The emotional connection was there, the mental and physical connection, etc. Hard to explain, I think, until you are in a marriage that actually works positively. But for me, at some point I knew that she was perfection in my eyes, and she meshes with me perfectly. And on top of that, hearing her basically say the same words to me, I mean, it's pretty obvious at that point. I've had a lot of people in my life try to test us, talking shit, usually trying to start stuff. I am proud to say that on the surface, if you don't know us, we may not look like anyone special, but rest be assured we are a vicious couple that will defend each other aggressively, and we wake up every day ready to face the world and all its chaos together. Hard to explain, but I know other people can relate to this. Well, it's kinda like, gonna find my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon delight. I thought love was only true in fairy tales, meant for someone else but not for me. Love was out to get me. That's the way it seemed. Disappointment haunted all of my dreams. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. And I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried. I thought love was more or less a giving thing. The more I gave, the less I got. Oh yeah, what's the use in trying? All you get is pain. When I wanted sunshine, I got rain. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried. Love doesn't really exist, at least in my estimation. It is an abstract notion. Relationships take work, and this idea of true love takes away from that. Sometimes, if you find someone attractive, compatible, and you relate and communicate well together, whether times are good or bad, that is worth working on. After years, if you are diligent, you will just be happy with that person, loyal to them, and glad to be with them. That is probably love. If you don't work on the relationship, it will fail. And when it does, everything you have built while ignoring the relationship will totter, if not outright crumble. I have my wonderful kids 4 days a week and am very happy with the relationship I am in now with a wonderful, compassionate woman, and am cordial enough with my ex, even though it was hard at first, having gone from a marriage to her leaving for someone else, blackmailing me out of $40K by scaring me that I couldn't have joint custody of the kids. I didn't know better and thought she could win that one. Turns out she couldn't have, but whatever. And just being her narcissistic self, she went from a wife to an enemy in just a matter of weeks. And I thought we were in love. Turns out she never loved me, by her own admission. 12 years after a relationship together. But we didn't work on the relationship, we worked on the kids, etc. And that was the downfall. Love, whatever that is, doesn't sustain a relationship. Elbow grease does. Just one man's experience. Sorry for the outpour, but glad this will be buried. I just found out I was truly in love yesterday afternoon. My Esu and I had been at the beach cabana all day enjoying a gorgeous South Florida day when naturally a Cat 1 hurricane decided to form in the distance. We decided to wait out the storm instead of driving through it, so we took showers and settled in for the wait. I was sitting on the beach chair having a beer and it starts to drizzle. Esso starts yelling, "It's raining, let's go, let's go." I'm all like, WTF are you talking about? Suddenly he says, "I want to kiss you in the rain. Come on, get up." I started laughing really hard because I thought he was fucking with me. He was so serious and grabbed me, pulled me out into the rain and started kissing me. He goes, "I remember the first time we ever kissed. It was on the bus on the way home from grad night 10 years ago. I'll never forget that and I'll always kiss you, forever in rain or shine." It was ridiculous and amazingly sweet, and at that moment I knew I was totally in love and completely happy. Like finally truly in love when I felt that feeling. I guess you'll know when something so silly and stupid happens that really reminds you that somewhere deep inside you can let go and let love in. If that makes any sense at all. Edit. No, there was not an actual Category 1 hurricane in South Florida yesterday. It was just an expression used for our typical thunderstorm this time of year. This particular storm was crazy, thus we called it a Cat 1 hurricane. It was not. Calm down now, Yaddle. Why did it take you 10 years to realize you were truly in love? Or did you know for a long time, and that was just the cherry on top?